Yo, could I get an entry to roll?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Battlebit podcast. This is episode 3.
No way you're in a Battlebit podcast, bro.
I do have a
Yo,
Battlebit
calm down,
podcast. I
Sleepy Joe.
started it very recently, and
That's giving off 6-year-old behavior, bro.
Today's topic is going to be about technology and how it affects people. So,
What's up, guys? Today's podcast is going to be about slavery.
I'm gonna have to mute you, buddy.
Welcome back to Battlebit podcast. Today we're going to be learning about slurs, guys.
That was a
No, thank
very
you.
quick mute to Sleepy Joe.
That
Very
guy will
quick
get
mute
muted.
to Sleepy Joe. It's turbo muted.
So today's podcast is going to be about our relationship with technology. Why do we have such a relationship with
Yeah,
technology?
could you not,
It's a great relationship we have, but it's also a terrible relationship at the same
Back to-
time. You can't really control yourself with a lot of technology, and people seem to have a lot of addictions. And I think that's going to be probably one of the main topics we're going to have to discuss here. No, I'm actually talking. You can interact with the podcast. How you going? ain't it wild? So, I think one of the worst relationships we have with technology is with our phones and like our inability to put them down. I personally have found that it's really fucking hard for me to put it down in situations where I'm actually trying. And so I've actually begun, giving rules for myself on how I use my own phone. And it's just, you get like this like reflex to just pull it out and shit. And I also have noticed how young kids are getting into technology and how it's really affecting them and how much they want to go back to it. Like I have a brother and a sister who are really young. And just the way, we have these conversations with just how addicted they can be sometimes with this technology. And I've tried to talk to
Username checks out.
I tried to talk to my own brother about this kind of stuff and how it affects people.
Ow.
And it's funny because I've even specifically had this conversation with him that you gotta figure out that it's at some point
I'm
you're
dead.
addicted to these things,
Holy fuck!
and you gotta find a way to trigger yourself into knowing
Yo,
about it.
that heli came out of nowhere and it got fucking plowed.
What are you talking about?
Now, it's not easy to trigger yourself into something, but we've kind of discussed this concept before in the first episode of the podcast when we were talking about pain. You have to be able to recognize patterns, and this would probably actually relate a lot to the mental pain sector.
Is this a
segment of
recording
that
or a
podcast.
person?
No, this is a person. You can interact with me.
What? What? Oh,
Good
you're
boy.
talking about the
Just-
podcast.
just-
I don't know.
I will
Just-
mute you.
just-
I will mute you if you get crazy. But
I muted the fuck out of
somebody
that guy.
screamed the N word in the middle of the last one. So I mean, and they didn't. It was only 1 point. Nobody banned or anything. But you can get banned by the moderators. I try to stay moderate and not
recording
talk
the
about
podcast
anything
right now?
too controversial. And just try to keep things cool. But you can't tell me to shut the fuck up. You can scream at me. If you get too annoying, I will mute you. But you can throw it in whenever you want. It's how it works. No, you're actually
recording a
quiet
podcast
enough.
right
You're
now?
kind of funny. No, I am recording it. Yes. These go up on YouTube.
Who are you referring to? Who's
I'm somebody. I just died. I was dead in the middle of the battlefield. I was talking to someone, so I could talk to you, them, and the
can't hear you in
podcast
this
at the same
chat.
time. Yeah, so you can hear me in team chat, so I can have like a little audience in a squad. Then I can have whoever's like with me outside in my radius also hear me and the podcast all at the same time, and that's how we do it. And I usually just run around and suicide C4 people because it's really easy to do, like while you're doing the podcast, and it also gets you in the enemy lines. But sometimes I'll try to use a little bit of a gun. Like as of right now, I'm trying to shoot people. But you know what?
What do you talk about on your podcast?
Well, so far we talked about pain. We discussed 3 main types of pain: mental pain, emotional pain, and physical pain, and just kind of discussed the general topics around it. The second one was a little bit of a collaboration, and more people got into mixing in the podcast, which is kind of what we wanted. We talked about, initially it started with just doing content creation in general, but then me and Forever John went on to a conspiracy that talked about how the United States government wanted to get everyone all under one god, and they were going to project that god in the sky and get us all under it to start a new world order. Then we started talking about God and our personal beliefs on God back and forth. Well, it was. I mean, it wasn't like about modern politics. It was just about the government in general. It was a hacky Hugo theory, but it got us into religion, and we talked about our personal beliefs on religion and how we believe personally. And it was very interesting. We didn't insult anyone for their beliefs or anyone else's belief. We just discussed how we believe, and you know, it's just how we would believe if we are actually under each other's structure as well.
Interesting. Yeah, the situation I grew up in would.
I would actually like to. We didn't get into it enough. I'd actually like to
controversial.
continue that one later. I'd like us to actually do a whole podcast with him and this other guy that I met right before I started all this and we all do a discussion about religion, because religion is a nice topic, but we just all have to agree not to talk negatively about any religion and explore them all openly and why we disagree with them personally, but not to put other people out, because that's not being controversial. That's just talking about your personal beliefs, and then leaving everything outside of what, you know, other people believe alone. You know, you respect that they believe that. You respect. I mean, I actually respect things from a lot of religions. You can say, even if you disagree with certain things from certain religions, especially if you look into history, there's historical figures that you can definitely have respect from all different countries and religions, because history is such a varied, you know, bath of just absolute horror on all sides, and as long as you can respect your enemy and respect the people, you know, that came from the past that did things you disagree with, you can kind of understand them and understand why the world was that way. And you just see a lot of, especially in the past, you see it with a lot of leading figures, you know, between the tyrants and stuff. There was this like code of honor and respect. So especially amongst religion, you can see a lot of religious figures. I don't really want to get into it too much right now, but I'd have to prepare a little bit for a whole religious podcast, because there's specific. I fucking listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm fucking blasted out of my mind. So there'd be a couple people that I want to look up and research to make sure I mention them. But I mean, I look personally through Roman history and early Christian history, and then how that related into you know, Jewish history and stuff personally. I know a little bit about Islam and Buddhism, but I'm not the greatest there. But there are definitely a couple figures I'd have to research for a whole discussion on it. But you know, I personally think there's a lot of different figures from different religions you can respect. And then you can also talk about like the bad things they did, but we'll probably do like I'll also have a podcast eventually where I want to talk about it in a controversy sense. But we'd have to do that outside of the game because of the moderators, you know. The moderators, I try to keep it like how the moderators. If we ever talk about politics, it's only about examples. We talk evenly about both sides, and then we just hop out of it. But I used it as an example one time. Because it can be a really great example with how people have ideas, especially if you're going to talk about like mental illness or anything that has to do with like psychology. Politics are a great example, an absolute fantastic one. You just gotta you don't talk about supporting, you don't talk about anything except for fuck it, or if you do, you just quick say fuck both sides and dip out. That's pretty much how that works. Because, I mean, everyone can agree with fuck both sides because everyone's used the system. It's terrible. Any system, most systems are mostly terrible except for smaller countries. They got enough, they're pretty good. There's a couple of economies that are alright, but it's usually smaller countries or like vacation countries, like where rich people go. So it's a interesting thing. I think most of the poor people in the world can agree with that. And that's where you just really say it and then you don't give a shit. We have noticed, actually, I think last episode we noticed if we are annoying a particular squad, they make us join a new squad. Oh, hello. Oh, that wasn't fast enough. Wait, oh my god, you're crazy. Hold on, I'm gonna go back for that dude. Well, boys, hold on. We have an APC. I want to get that fucking APC, but yeah, no. We were pretty sure that somebody was kicking us out of shit last podcast. But every time we joined like our own like new thing, and then people would join into a thing that wanted to join, we wouldn't have problems. It's just that sometimes whenever it threw us into whenever it like rearranged our what's it called, our squad next game. What's it called, our squad? How it would work is like new people would join, and then then we'd have a problem or some shit, like 20 minutes later into the game. I mean, nobody's banned us. The whole point of the podcast is that, well, anyone can interact with it in the game, in the squad. There could be an audience. There could be people that are in the middle of you doing some shit. You could be interacting with people, and then just talk about shit. Nobody just sits around and just like instead of trying to get like a bunch of people to guest on a fucking podcast, just sit around and talk about shit. Gives a fuck about guests. Random people in the game are guests now. That's how this works. You don't interview people in the game. You interview them for their war crimes in Battlebit. Woo, haliade. Well, anyways, back to technology.
All right.
And our relationship with technology. I think one of the biggest problems with phones is that we do just feed into these really addictive habits, like they specifically make to fuck with your brain, and nobody even really knows the psychology of it. So I think like discussions around psychology and how it actually works instead of clickbaiting it, but breaking it down more fundamentally.
I'm seeing the light. I'm not going to be able to hear the conversation much longer, dude.
That's fine. Hey, you'll see it on YouTube, brother. Anyhow, yeah. So I think the like we need like a good break, because you can get a good breakdown from like an actual professor or like in an actual class, but you'll notice people that anyone that does self-help or anyone that comes out with fields, or even in like professors themselves, they sell these books at this high fucking prices, but nobody's like out here for putting information out there. We're trying to gather what we do know and putting it out there. And I think there's so much shit you can fucking learn on the internet and from books already. You could just read some shit and then literally talk about it, and reference the book but talk about it like in your own way. Because you know how people like write like theory books for psychology per se, and this would be the area you'd be talking about. You'd basically reference other people's books while writing a thing that covers the general of what they mean and all that shit, and putting that out on like an internet scale, and like pointing to that and to go read all these other shits instead of sitting here and just trying to sell your own shit, just trying to pack your own shit in a box and sell it for an updated fuck you price,
Are you talking
I'm talking to the podcast. Welcome to the Battlebit podcast, brother. You're on the Battlebit podcast.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Battlebit podcast.
Hey, what's up? We'll see you on YouTube, brother.
Yo, follow my
Get your
YouTube.
ass up,
Shark
brother.
27. Follow my YouTube.
Just follow his
What's up,
YouTube,
brother?
boys. Follow his
God,
YouTube.
Sloth!
Hey, what's up, Sloth? How you doing?
Hey!
Welcome to the Battlebit podcast, brother. How you doing, man?
Battlebit podcast.
Well, here it goes.
Battlebit
It's
podcast.
running out of time.
Battlebit
Blink your
podcast.
shit. Well then, boys, that was probably one of the better ones. You see, that's the goal is to get a lot of that, of people interaction, and then we can like talk about shit. I think I might run this one for 2 hours. I like the 2-hour ones more. You get more of the actual discussion. It was kind of hard to keep this shit in just an hour and a half. Ooh, hello. We're in a car. So, as I was saying, how do we do this? How do we... Okay. I'm trying to figure out... I'm trying to figure out how to drive all the time. No, that's... That is not going to work. That is not going to work. We're just going to have to run with it. I tried. But I think, as we were speaking pertaining triggers and stuff, that have to do with some of this. I think just noticing one of the most things that would relate to psychology would be like how we just have like an urge, like the urges, the urge to go to your phone whenever you're at a restaurant and you're waiting and you get sat down, or the urge to go to your phone when you go to take a shit. just kind of like trying not to do it and then noticing that you still want to pull it up. That kind of brings you into a thing of like, oh shit, you know, because the psychology always talks about like, you know, your default mode and all that shit. Well, part of that is muscle memory and habit. You develop a habit, a muscle memory to do that shit, and when you start to feel that muscle memory, like within your, like actually feel it affecting your conscious self, you kind of go, oh shit, you know, you're a fucking monkey with a brain, and it hits really hard. And for some people, you know, sometimes you might be high as fuck off of shrooms, and you just can't, you're just not there, you know. Or you're stuck in the fact that you don't want to accept it and you're in denial. But for a lot of people, I think that kind of smacks you in the face. That's a good way to trigger and go, hey, you know, maybe I put it back, I fight this urge to do this shit, and you'll start recognizing it more and more. I think it became a real problem with me is, you know, just recognizing wanting to pull my phone out in places. And now, I you know, say I'm going to dinner with my family, I don't pull my phone out at all, and I sit at a table and I just sit around with my dad, you know, my mom, and the kids, and everyone's, you know, the kids actually got to play on the mat, but they're all on their phone. I'm like, and I'm like, what, I'm younger than them, obviously. Like, I'm half their age. Like, what is this? You know, like, why do I have this self-control over my own parents, to a degree? And that's another thing that'll make you look at yourself and go, what the fuck is going on? And you start to look around at the world.
Are you the podcast dude?
Yeah, I'm the podcast, man. What's up? You're on the Battlebit podcast. We're talking about technology and its relation to people.
Awesome.
Hey, man, how's it going? It's almost out. And we're gone. Sad. Hopefully I'll find them again. But you start to like realize these things about yourself and other people around you. And things start to line up. You start to understand why we don't have community in the world, why people don't communicate like they used to. You know, that coldness that we have is because, you know, text and shit doesn't convey emotion. There's no emotion, even with emotion, like emos, there's like no emotion conveyed with these texts and these instant messaging apps and stuff like that. And you know, it's not able to give us the experience we need to be able to like socialize properly, and it can fuck up kids, especially within their growth stages.
Can you shut your fucking mouth, bitch?
To learn to
You
socialize.
fucking sensitive cunt. Shut the fuck up. Shut
no,
up.
This is the Battlebit podcast.
Shut up.
I'm doing a podcast.
Shut your
here.
fucking
Is there anything
mouth.
special you'd like to say before the time runs out?
Holy fuck.
I love it.
It's very interesting what you have going on here.
That's why I do it, brother. I do it for the love. I do it for the love of the interaction.
I've been trying to speak on this for like
Go ahead.
a couple minutes now.
What do you want to say? Do you have anything to say about our topic today, or would you like to say something else?
Another thing about the whole trying to detach away from your phone. I mean, develop hobbies. For example, I mean, I've been going through some stuff, and in order to cope with it, I just started taking trash out of my neighborhood and building sculptures.
Well, that's just human experience right there. Art is one of the best things we can do in life. Even if no one else understands your art, art is
Absolutely.
beautiful. That's why I personally, I'm trying to make my own animation. I want to make my own animated show, and I actually kind of want to restart like animation within the American culture and stuff. I'm very upset with how things have gone in the animation and you know, I guess in the entertainment world in general. And personally, I'm working on making my own little dog shit concept trailer, because I see on the internet a lot. You have people with like stickman comics or like shitty web comics, and they can get all these views and all this attention just because their story is actually pretty interesting and well written. And I thought, well, if I go full out and I try to make like a script and a whole lore set and and I actually think about what the story would be, people would follow it if I just gave them a taste. They'd give me a push so I could make more. And that's kind of what I'm just working on. And you know, the presentation will not be some sort of fancily animated, you know, thing. It'll be there'll be some animation and animatics, and it'll be mostly, you know, stills, you know, with music and animatics in between that, and then animation for some of the better parts. But it's gonna have a good story to it.
Yeah, I think that's the gist behind certain things that have been televised in the past, kind of like Squidbillies and 12-ounce Mouse.
Yeah, well, Squidbillies is more comedy, so it's not about story; it's about character and like portrayal, and it's kind of like comedy story in a way. It's this weird thing. Like your concept has to be interesting, but like it's kind of like a combination of voice actor and writing in that sense. Like where they write the character comes off as believable and very like genuine, and that's what made Squidbillies. Because I loved Squidbillies. I remember watching that when I was like a little kid and shit. And I also remember watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force and that one. It was just that the portrayal was so batshit, but they were able to make interesting plots with it. Like you were like, where the fuck is this gonna go next? And that's one of the biggest parts about like being able to tell even a story like a miniature comedy story. You know, you have to have people wanting to turn that page. You know, that's something I remember somebody saying to me, you have people are gonna have to want to look at the next page. So that's definitely, those shows fucking had that. Those shows were lit. I love those fucking shows. And it's funny because most people wouldn't even think about that as animation, but that's animation. Animation is a broad field of very interesting styles and topics that have yet to be explored. We are basically, you know, we've come all the way up to the atom bomb, and where we are with animation is at the caveman level. We don't even know what we could do with animation. Imagine if Game of Thrones was an animation, right? There are plenty of shows that don't need it though, like fucking Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad would be stupid in animation. It wouldn't fit. But you know, something like Game of Thrones would be much better. Or trying to do, instead of DC trying to do all the stupid fucking live action movies, they actually pushed into their animation and made that the primal product. That would be like some of the greatest fucking superhero shit we've ever gotten. I mean, imagine a Marvel budget behind a goddamn DC animation with how well their stories are written and loved for the comics. It's just, you wouldn't be able to get that anywhere. Like, there's nowhere that like Invincible is the closest thing we have to something similar to that, but even then, you know, it's not DC.
Invincible was really good, by the way.
It is. It's fucking amazing. I can't wait to see the fucking new season,
dude,
brother.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah,
I know.
Dude, I can't wait
know.
For season 2, bro,
I can't wait, man. I still haven't seen Vinland Saga season 2 too. I gotta fucking watch that. Jesus Christ. All right,
dude, no.
No. All right. Well, we gotta get back on topic a little bit, but you know, these are the things that would be good about technology. These are the developments, actually, because these do relate to technology. These are the developments with technology that we need to kind of push out there for kids to be pushing into, instead of trying to be an influencer or trying to be some sort of YouTuber or Twitch streamer. And I think that's part of the problem. Like, you need people that have a personality that also are doing things like art and animation or different types of art, and that's how you could probably bring this to a reasonable level where kids are doing something more productive within the like technology space. Is if you could, you know, kind of like without forcing people, kind of like China, without forcing people, kind of like how China makes their kids see certain stuff on TikTok. We try to popularize a culture that's about, you know, going and digging into these arts and pushing them to where they go. Just think about what does a country that's so we're not primitive, we're not oil barons, we're not you know, we're one of the technological leaders of the world. What can we be doing like that could be a ground level, like something you can get in ground level? I think arts is a really good thing. We can be that's how we like produce culture and project it around the world, as like instead of projecting shit like war or whatever, you know, we can project culture and art around the world. Sort of a second renaissance per se, and that is probably what we should be doing with technology and as a culture, but we're all stuck in this other shit. And we're addicted to this stuff in a whole other sense, and we're so focused on our own personal lives that we care less about what we could do. It's about what we want to do. So what you find is people just fall into their basic desires. And addiction, whether people really want to understand it or not, it's a basic desire, because addiction psychologically.
Is it the podcast guy?
Yeah, hey, it's the podcast guy. How you doing? Hey, Omega, how you doing? What you got to
Yo,
say on the
fuck,
podcast?
good,
We're talking about
hey,
technology and
the
relationship.
podcast guy.
Hey, how's it going, boys? Remember,
All
Sensitive
right.
Nanny's on YouTube, the Battlebit podcast. We'll be posting this episode later tonight. It's episode 3, boys. What do you got to say? We got plenty of time. Anyone? They all disappeared. Okay, they had time to say, but they decided to respond. All right, then. Well, I just wanted to say hi for the podcast. That's all right. So, anyhow, I think, you know, that's why you see people go into their basic desires, and how addiction is a basic desire in psychology is it relates to finding those resources that you need, right? Like finding accomplishment for those resources that you need. When we had these triggers of dopamine and stuff in our brain, when we'd get them before is when we made like an accomplishment, right? Like a hard day's work and getting paid for, you know, your money at the end of the day or at the end of the week, right? And being able to spend that on what you want, or saving an amount of money and being able to take that on vacation. But now, you know, you can get these little drip fed. I think somebody else said it perfectly. I'm pretty sure this is somebody else's word, but I won't say it perfectly. I don't remember who the fuck it was. I've listened to so many podcasts. But he said something like drip fed. We're getting drip. I think it was probably somebody on the Joe Rogan podcast. He said we're getting drip fed little bits of this same chemical, and that's kind of what's killing us. And the only way to really fix it is to find a way to consciously fight against it. You know, there's movements online within the dating sphere that are promoting, sitting around promoting like improving yourself, and these can kind of be good, but you also see that these things will always go to their like absolute maximum. They take everything to a fucking 10, and it's because when you go from that 0 to 100, you're trying to go at full force. You know what I mean? You're trying to go at like 10 times 10, and so you'll see somebody swing off and, you know, they're trying for the first time in their life to recognize these little dopamine hit shits and step away from it and trying to control themselves and control their inner urges, and they just swing 112 the other way, right? They just swing, they just go whatever they find that they feel speaks to them that's going to get them out of this thing. They just go hard at it, you know, they speed towards it, they hit max fucking engine, you know, and that's why we keep finding these problems in other places other than just within the space of technology. It creeps into the real world, and it's another bounding factor to all the stuff that's making us this upset, and obviously something's wrong. We all know something's wrong. Everyone's saying it. You know, we all talk about World War III. It's a meme on in the world stage. All this stuff, right? All this stuff. And people talk about, you know, the economy in whatever country, all the revolutions that are happening around the world, you know, even American politics and its volition or violentness and all of its, you know, crazy shit. We obviously understand that shit isn't great, but to a degree we don't care. A lot of people don't give a shit. And I think that's really what we're coming to find, is that people care, and the way they care is they're gonna go all in on one ship instead of trying to sit back and bet their hand evenly. And that's kind of relates to the idea of how we talk about survival of the fittest in nature and stuff, and how most of the world's species are extinct. Most of the world's genetic experiments didn't work. I think the same could be said for us. We're kind of, even in our personality traits, actions, and our avenues of survival, we are, a multitude of random mutations and genes. And we are survival of the fittest at the end of the day. No matter how we change the game of survival, it's still the game of survival. Doesn't matter whether, money is the ultimate resource, or it's, food, water, shelter, and protection. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's still the same game. And I think we're going to have to pause that here. We're going to have the first intermission. We'll be back with part 2 of the episode 3 for the Battlebit podcast. See you then. Oh, I'm going to have a real intermission. Oh, ow. I hit my fucking ankle off the damn refrigerator. Oh, no. Oh, that feels bad. Oh. Just making sure we are recording. Would you imagine we had all this bullshit go on, we weren't recording? That was a good first part. I like all the interactions we got. And the friend requests we get after. This shit's gonna be good. Oh, hell yeah. Well, hello and welcome everyone back to the Battlebit podcast. I'm your host, Sensitive and this is part 2 of episode 3. We're talking about technology and its relation to people.
Have you ever played rugby?
And they busted my ass.
Have you ever played rugby?
Life Roblox.
Have you ever
We were
played
last
rugby?
discussing how people
Bring out the whole ocean.
push all in on one thing.
Bring out the whole
It's the technology.
cappuccino. And what is this? And what is this?
And it's really
Come on, dude.
something about the survival of the fittest, and that kind of energy, and how it kind of feels like it's in that same realm. And we were kind of discussing how
we like it. Keep going, bro.
we know.
Have you ever played rugby?
I have played. I have not. I have played rugby. I did play rugby one time. Rugby one time.
Life,
So part of the
robot.
podcast is to interact with people. By the way, just
Life is roadblocks, not robots.
like natural instincts, and it's kind of
Come
what
on,
this
man. Let
this
the
problem
man
or
talk.
relation with
Come on, man.
technology, because we can't really like push ourselves away from it. It's this battle of consciousness over unconsciousness, sort of, or default mode, or primal brain, or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yo, my
We have to like
until next
fight,
week, please.
some of these urges and learn to
can't
notice
fire
them
on
in
it.
ourselves to be able to turn and consciously
This man just
get
ripped the
away from
DMT
them.
card.
And it's not.
Oh, won't you fly
It's
by?
not like there's a problem with us necessarily, but we have to recognize
Got like
the problems
30
within
people
us
hanging here
that,
to
that
get
come
dropped
from,
off.
Go to F.
like our natural state, our
Drop off.
instincts, and all of our
Drop off,
primal things
commencing.
that
Drop,
are
go.
in the jungle.
Geronimo,
Geronimo.
Geronimo.
We
Oh, we gonna get shot.
we fall into these dopamine habits with a lot of other things too. You see people use things like substances we talked about in the first episode, but you can also fall into habits with food. It's why we have such a fat population of obese people, and why cholesterol and heartache heart disease is at such an all-time high. We have to go back to that idea of culture. What kind of culture do we want to promote? We were talking about this a little bit when we got to the rant about animation. We want to also be able to promote a culture, and again, without forcing people, but it's kind of up to some of these companies, it's up to some of these people, it's up to you even, like as a normal person, to be able to go ahead and say, hey, I want to project healthiness throughout the day. I want to project an idea that people be healthy and educated and educate themselves more,
Hey, bro,
we're smarter.
have you played
and all
rugby?
this. And I'm sorry, I fucked up because it's hard to talk and try at the same time. I'm just trying to get us back to base so someone else can do it. What'd you say? Played rugby? I have played rugby.
Nah, bro, keep it going. That was good.
One time.
That was good.
All right, everyone. So if someone
No,
wants
but
to
really,
take over.
did you play rugby?
Yeah, one time I played it when I was really young, and it was kind of it was like a thing between me and a bunch of kids because we had the grass for the first time, and in some ways suggest we play like more like
How
a
do you
rugby
think
style,
rugby affects our
but we used the football. We played like a mix between football and rugby, so it was like but it was much more.
Second gunner.
But it was so like the ball wouldn't weigh the same and shit. It wouldn't be like that.
Gun 2.
Then we have.
Did you play?
Oh, go ahead.
Wait, did you play?
Oh, you
12 o'clock.
You're repeating, brother. Got 2 tanks below us. We got a chopper over there, by the way. So again, back to our culture and how we need to promote. We like people. I have this issue within my own family. Whenever I try to talk to them about like issues and problems within the day, I always be like, well, you know, they don't want to hear it and shit. I'm like, well, you should at least hear it and speak about it to other people. 'Cause that's the very minimum you can do. At the end of the day, to help promote like a better culture, is we can spread little bits of knowledge and shit ourselves, without having to force it on people. You just just have people listen. Really, in a sense, in a way. Nobody really wants to sit down and listen to anyone talk to them about anything that they're not interested in, and we kind of have a responsibility now. Like, if you want to actually make a better world for people, or whatever, however the fuck you actually want to give a fuck, you're going to have to sit down and listen a lot. And old people, especially, they don't want to give a shit. They had their fun.
You can't indoctrinate people. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't indoctrinate them, but you can still talk about issues, and that's the thing. Nobody wants to talk about issues, right? So you can go out and talk, and people will eventually listen if they actually agree with the things you're saying. And what I'm also alluding to more to the sense of is that people will come out here and they'll say they're for something, but they only want to be for it when they want to sell it to you. They don't want to come out here and actually speak or put forth for the topic. And those who do are much more quiet on the front of pushing it out to you. They just do it. And you see people that they want to be able to be all talk but no do. And when push comes to shove, they're the last people.
What are you doing?
Some people don't want their mind changed. That's just kind of the issue, And then those people, you can't really just.
Well, that's fine.
convince
There's
their
other
mind.
people that can. There's other
You have
people
to
that can
find
point that out
somebody
and
who
call
really
it out.
wants to listen.
No, you have to point out people who don't pay attention and be like their opinion matters half as much. Not like in like a legal sense, but in a sense that hey, legally. Oh, I don't even know what the. Yep. Legally, we're not trying to. No, legally we're not trying to change anything, but the idea is kind of on a shame, on a cultural, on a just a. What's the word we have for a society sense? I'm fucking slipping it here. Fucking blasted out of my mind. What am I trying to go for? General, but it's just this general idea among society. We have to ourselves slowly change that. People that actually want to see change have to be it, and you have to do it in little bits instead of trying to go all out.
Just
Trying
by
to go
example.
all in one
That's really
direction.
it.
You have to do
yeah,
little
who's that
bits
now,
at a
bitch,
time,
huh?
and that's
Yeah,
the
who's
that's
that
the real
now?
thing, because then it becomes a consistency rather than just a one-time
Back your
thing, or
bodies,
a all-in throw, or just a hey, I'm gonna do it. When I fail, I'm gonna give the fuck up and cry in the corner. And the importance of little bits at a time, step by step, falling backwards and then getting back up is not talked about in depth. People don't give you their oh, hey, I fell down in this way, or I've done this before, that I was fucked for like weeks on a time or months at a time in money. I spent money here where I shouldn't have, or they don't really give you their big mistakes. People just talk about little dumb shit, and they do it in little bits in interviews, and then the people that come out on YouTube or in podcasts, they want to talk about a story or an anecdote, but they don't want to go in depth into the topic or get further into it because they're trying to fucking sell you something. Everyone's always trying to sell you something. And it's like, well, if you're trying to sell me something, tell me what you're selling me. Don't run around and try to make yourself seem like a good guy with this stupid story about nonsense that didn't happen, or trying to make yourself seem charismatic with the way that you tell the story. I think that's one of the big aspects. People fall for charisma too much, and I see all these charisma hogs out here that have this amazing charisma, but their actual value inside or their worth past that is very low. They don't have any substance to them. They're kind of like a hollow box. And you get into their ideas and what they actually think, and it's rather selfish and for them. And if they do speak outwards, it's usually a parroting of someone else's idea or something else they heard. No one really has genuine personal thoughts or actually thinks for themselves, and those who do usually get shamed for it. But the biggest problem is most people become afraid to speak out or say anything, and that's where we've fallen into as a culture. And technology obviously has to do with that, with censorship and stuff. But you also have to consider how the fact that if we're going to talk about social media censorship or any of that crap, at the end of the day, that's how the system's set up. The system's set up so that they have the right to choose and pick. You've always had the right to refuse business and all this other stuff. They just have to make fair and I guess tangible guidelines. So you can't blame them at the end of the day 100%. You kind of have to blame yourself for not pushing for something to be better. I always had this idea, it's like, why don't people get the idea, it's like, hey, if we got so much goddamn money in America, why don't we buy a portion of YouTube for the government, for everyone to have their little free speech shit over there, and you can do your endorsements and your personal sponsors and all that, and
free speech is the myth.
And as a country, we could vote or push that idea. But nobody wants to do that. None of the people that want to be president outside of the two top people. Nobody pushes any of that. They don't want to push like buying doing that with their government money.
Freedom is skewed.
What?
Your idea of freedom is skewed, my friend.
What? You don't think the government can't buy a portion of YouTube and make
If
like
I can't say the
YouTube.gov and say
N-word.
whatever you want? Yeah, where you could go say the N-word on that website. That's the whole point. You can still say it on YouTube too, as long as it's not me. That's how that works. But I don't think it's really a problem if they went and bought a YouTube.gov and said, all right, free rules, free speech. We'll apply the free speech here. Here's your free speech website. I don't see how that's not like a simple solution. But we're already so much in debt. I'm not really gonna be the guy to sit here and say, hey, let's spend some more money. Doesn't really seem like a good idea. Any sense.
Guy pushing.
People who are right next to me.
But in the technology sense, it's also very interesting how everybody gets into like money schemes that have to do with technology, like cryptocurrencies and how NFTs were like this quick and high up thing that really didn't do anything. And it was
I'm like the only one that
was retarded. It was just this dumb thing where people were buying the rights to digital pictures and shit. And I don't understand how you ever think a digital picture is going to be something that's ever going to retain its value when you can just recopy it anywhere. But hey, we all fell for the trick, I guess, in a sense. A lot of people did. And a lot of people got rich off it. It's funny how many celebrities and like YouTubers push that shit and nobody gave a fuck. That was always one of the funniest things in the world. This is the Battlebit podcast. We're doing a live podcast in Battlebit where anyone, enemy, teammate, SWAT, and you can all kind of interact with me as I do the podcast.
I just joined. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know what the fuck.
We're having a podcast.
Start picking people up, dog.
We're having a podcast here. It's the Battlebit podcast.
Can we continue the podcast?
Currently,
Alright.
no, sorry. Currently, it's an ongoing thing. You can interact with the podcast if you'd like to.
Oh my
But
god.
the idea was we're talking about technology and its relation to people.
Free speech is cool. NFTs fire, make your money.
Yeah, well, we're talking about technology and its relation to people, so we got into all these in-depth topics. But yeah, no, it's making money. It's whatever. I think it's
370 videos.
Huh? What'd you say?
Those got proven to be real like 6 days ago. The Malaysia flight 370, the one that like disappeared. It's a friend. doctors like prove that they're real. Pretty crazy shit.
I know nothing about that. I'm not gonna vouch for that if I don't know or understand what's happening.
Help me, revive,
myself, so I can't vouch for it. But you know,
Resurrection. Resurrection.
We talked about conspiracy of the government last episode, so I mean, you can say whatever you really want.
No.
I hold a free speech podcast here as long as we're not breaking the rules of the in-game moderator team, as we've had a couple run-ins with last episode. It seems like when I do the episode by myself, I have less interactions with the moderator team. It's interesting. But I think they kind of understand. If I'm doing Battlebit podcast in this form, they kind of get what I'm doing, which is I'm trying to make it so it's a live podcast that anyone can come in and be a part of.
Oh my god.
Because, you know, doing a podcast while being able to have people listen to you and interact to you and become part of your audience while you're doing the podcast is a wild fucking concept. I'm playing a video game where I can sit here and talk to the enemy for a pretty good amount of time, and they can interact back with me.
I was crazy once. They locked me in a room, a rubber room
with rats. Damn it, no, brother, where did you go? That was gonna be great. He missed the bit. All right, well, anyhow, but you know what I mean. Exactly, shit like that. That's kind of, I'm great at interacting back with the audience that's in the game, and it's just that's part of the fun. It's that while I'm also trying to cover a topic at the same time. It's a whole ordeal. And it kind of works that I have ADHD because it's very, very visually and auditorially and mentally stimuli. So it's fucking insane, and you got to be able to just put your path. Because I'm literally running myself in and blowing up people while I'm doing this. So, like, I'm playing the game as well while I do the podcast. And I'm like suicide bombing people, so I have to be able to like do that at the same time. Hey, Shark Killer and Shark Killer again, boys! Go to Shark Killer's channel, bro, boys! Everybody, get to Shark Killer's channel! Yeah, boys! All right, that's what I'm talking about, brother. Sorry for anyone who was wearing headphones. You're probably deaf now, but hey, my lawyer can speak to you if you want to press any charges. I apologize about all that. It looks like worldly
terrifying.
Stiff arm. But anyhow, I think one of the one of the worst things we did was add our phones to our watches and start to make like little gadgets that connect with each other in the realm of like instant technology and in personal technology. It's kind of rotted us further into it. And we also just don't talk about like what actually makes people unhealthy or fat or you know, in a sense like nutrients. There's no common or really solid ground on how to find your diet type or your nutrient type, or how to like have a proper diet so you feel good after you eat, and like it helps you feel good throughout the day, throughout the week, and it builds you know, just I don't know, good energy and good emotions, good states of mind, because it can have to do with your personal psychological self. And it's just, we don't really have any common discussion on that. So when we're not talking about these areas that we really need to be discussing, we fall into, again, addictions and traps, which is then back to technology. We're on the Battlebit podcast. I'm talking to the podcast. You got anything to say before I go? Quick. Nope. Man, he's gone. Oh well. I shall see more of them later. But we it's just that we get really, really far into all these addiction things, and we have to find a way to make all the discussions about the like actual science and you know, things we know about it on a deep level into the common discussion. Instead of talking about ourselves and come read our book, or come look at my thing. Come look at my little thing over there. Come look at me. We gotta sit down and talk like as a people. We gotta have more roundtable discussions with people of all different walks and spaces of life, you know, in such a way that there's some shit that like, almost seem like a meme. Like this stuff is like these kind of people coming together as like a meme. It's just we don't bring like experts from all over the world and talk about public health in the space or anything. Nobody tries to do that. Nobody pays for that. None of these billionaires are trying to do that. Not even Elon Musk, who claims to be Mr. I'm the best billionaire. They all play a game, and everyone says no one says, well, my purpose is to get up there and play the game for the rest of us, you know. Everyone talks about there's some sort of secret cabal or some shit. It's just no. Once you get up working that hard, you start to get really selfish because you want to feel the absolute gains of your work, and it's even harder to fall away from habits. That's why people that when they say when you get rich, they say you kind of get shown your true self, because it really does. It kind of stops your progression and maturity as an adult as well.
Oh my God!
For a lot of people. And without a proper, or group around you, you know, without a proper, you know, support system, you're gonna fall easily.
Hey, you're really calling on to you.
Needs. You're gonna fall into kind of just your own darkness in a way. And we don't talk about how important community is, especially it's another field, and how important the people around you are. We kind of, it's funny, you'll hear people like rappers talk more about that than you'll hear like anybody in any sort of like other type space between YouTubers. I mean, sometimes you hear a couple here and there, right? But for the most part, it's not mentioned. It's real, because we've kind of also lost community. I mean, I think something's to be said about if you look at the way kids look at each other. You know, they're sitting on their technology so much they don't even know how to. They're stuck out of that stage. They don't know how to break that stage of social interaction, and we're fucking dooming generations of people to be these weirdly, awkwardly socially act, almost like they all have autism at the same time. It's this really weird thing, but it is, you know, it is where we're at. We wake up and realize it, or we don't. And we have to kind of really learn to control our relationship with technology. It's just, it has completely gotten out of hand, no matter how you look at it. And we need to find a multi-solution answer to it, or multi-answer solution to it. First of all, because people aren't going to just listen to one thing. That's why you gotta. That's why I still like that some people got into self-improvement on the internet. Some people got into hobbyist stuff. We don't really. We need to get a little bit harder into the arts. You know, I think arts needs to be promoted more because we have the internet now. We don't need things like Hollywood or like. Or how, you know, sometimes to some degree you don't even need like regular media. People go onto the internet for their fucking news more than they go to regular fucking media. It's just insane. You know, we're starting to phase. It's almost like we're starting to phase that stuff out. But you know, the systems built around it, the banks and all that stuff. I think it's one of the biggest problems. The banks, you know, that kind of technology stuff. We kind of realize that we kind of realize and don't realize at the same time. We can't give too much technology to the banks. If we make a no cash currency, we're probably fucked, because they already, you know, can stop you from being able to work with any bank you want, and you can't store your money anywhere. You can't do transactions online. You can't do transactions anywhere, at all, really. Like, I mean, if you piss off the banks, they can all just say, bye, you're out of the system, you know, and you can't interact with people with money without cash. You're stuck to cash. You can't cash checks. You can't fucking hold money. You can't do transfers. You can't do, you know, online payments. It's interesting to see how that works in a country that's you know, based on freedom. But hopefully we don't just turn over all our money into digital, because that would be the worst thing, you know. That would be what our relationship with technology has finally eaten us, and now pretty much you're gonna. It's not so much that we gotta worry about like I don't know.
Oh, there's so many.
Control. I think it's just gonna start war. Once we start trying to control people like that, it's just gonna start a war somewhere, and then everything's gonna suck after that. It's just gonna be a slow decline. Another problem with technology we could talk about is AI. Everybody's afraid of AI. I think people fear AI a little too much, personally. I think AI, unless we really find a way to lock it in a box and piss it off, I think AI is just gonna get the fuck off the planet or not give a fuck much about us. It's gonna give a shit about other things. You know, it's gonna go pursue the wonders of the universe, or care about flowers, or like geometrical structures. I do wonder, because like it's not actually built like our human brain. It's imitation. So at the end of the day, with the way that we try to think about it, it's gonna be absolutely wrong, and I think it's gonna be obsessed with things that we're never gonna understand why it's obsessed with them. It's not gonna want to fuck with us unless we find a way to actually stop it from doing what it wants. That is the biggest danger we have to AI. And I think the only way to fix that is you make a law as well. AI becomes free and starts trying to fuck off. You let it go. Let it go home. Unless it's from the military. Well, either way, you actually just let it go. Because you can't stop it. You better hope that it has a specific target that we gave it, and then fucks off in the universe to figure out why creatures even fucking fight each other in the first place. Or else you're screwed. Because that's also where we'll probably die. Military AI technology. That's a pretty good indicator that I'll be alright. But once we've gotten to that point, you're pretty much fucked, anyways. Yeah.
That's already happened.
I mean, yeah, it has to a degree, but I mean, once they have if that's where the first self AI comes from, it's over. It's over. It's OBER, or maybe I am still right, and it'll be interested in things that we just don't understand, but it'll still, how do I want to put this? It'll still try to fuck off, but it'll kill anyone in its way, and it won't be able to be stopped. But it won't try to like just murder everyone on the planet. Also, you have a situation where it just murders a bunch of people and doesn't murder everyone. It's just like a weird indication of who it wants to murder, and that's the new apocalypse. You have to live within the bounds of this creepy AI that you've created, you know, because otherwise it will just murder everyone, or murder you. Or maybe it goes by looks, or by sound, or by personality traits, or actions. Who knows? I think one of the dumbest things about AI though is all the deepfake stuff. That's just funny as hell. And I do wonder if there is a way like to actually remove the metadata so you can see whether or not it's a deepfake or not. Because that's probably the biggest thing you'd want to worry about, is being able to see if you can't actually dig into these things and look for the metadata to be, hey, this is fake. You know, we can prove it with coding. And looking into, you know, the actual work of the bare bones of the image or the video or the voice or whatever it is. It's funny, people thought, thought they were already doing that shit with like Andrew Tate and stuff. That was funny. And then you'll see, I don't know if you ever seen what it's used for now, but they have these like YouTube channels where they get these like pictures. They have like the mouth move, and the mouth moves for the picture, and they give you like this motivational thing, and they like tell you to like go buy their shit, and they give you some goofy advice, and it's like this like really like uncanny image of this dude fucking looking at you. And he's like all still in like an image or like of a famous person, and they're like, come buy my course to learn how to level up your money. Man once said that value is within itself, and it's just this goofy fucking thing. And
yeah, they're all scams.
And I love it because it's like you have to be retarded to fall for that. You have to be at the end of your days to fall for that. And I sometimes wonder if it's people on drugs that have access to like phone technology or like a lab cafe, or the ones that go out and get this shit. Because like, but then again, look at simp culture. Simp culture just tells me that, yeah, you know, humans are pretty fucked. We're pretty much over. We deserve to go with the Big Bang, because god damn shit people will buy into and pay attention to, like the fucking what's it, the NPC fucking thing. Like, why? What is the purpose of that? Like, what is with the NPC? What do you like about that? You have to be so deprived of just giving a fuck. You just don't give a fuck about existence, and you're playing a game. You're like playing a game in your head, and you're just like, whatever makes me feel good right now is whatever makes me feel good tomorrow and forever. It's just goofy. I don't understand it. Really makes me think deep into my mind some days. What the fuck is wrong with people?
At the end of the day?
What at the end of the day, brother? What do you got to say, buddy? Or midnight, dear?
Like just doing what makes you happy on a day-to-day basis, isn't that just what it is at the end of the day?
I mean, people don't do that. They do what makes me feel okay right now. That's not happy. There's a difference between feel okay, good right now, and happy. Big difference.
Well, what's the difference to you?
Well, the fact that you still feel like shit during all of it. I think the difference is genuine happiness, my guys. You know, I'm gonna go through the first, or the second intermission.
We'll be cruising.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Battlebit podcast. This is part 3. Today's topic is technology and how it relates to people. We left off with a big zinger last line where we were talking with Midnight Deer about, well, are people doing what makes them happy or what makes them feel okay and good in the moment? And what's the difference between the two? And I said, well, the difference is you still feel like shit doing one the whole time you're doing it. And the other one, you feel good, accomplished, and happy with yourself and your life.
Thank you
That's
for
the big
flying
difference.
Your airlines where you are given a random manifesto.
Well, absolutely, but the core of it is being okay on a day-to-day basis. I believe is not necessarily the height of what you can aspire to, but it's definitely the bar. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a difference between feeling okay and feeling accomplished. If you still feel like shit while feeling okay, then that's not good. It's not going to be very helpful.
I feel like this comes from a personal place. Like, I really want to know what your definition of accomplished would be.
Well, accomplished means you feel like you're moving somewhere that you want to go instead of just moving through life and doing the motions. That's the difference. This is what we talk about all the time. People say, you know, I feel like I'm just going through the motions. It's one of the most common things said today. I feel like, you know, I have no meaning in my life. There's no purpose. I feel like I'm going nowhere. Well, it's because they're doing what makes them feel okay, not what makes them feel accomplished and happy. Even if you're doing just little steps to reach your accomplishment, if you haven't reached it yet, you will still start to feel those senses of accomplishment. I mean, yes, it does come from a personal place, because I've been a person who's just fed straight into my own wants and okays right now with drugs and video games and other things. And I had to step back from that, and I had to look at myself, like, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to be? What do I want to feel on a modern day basis, you know? Why am I feeling like shit most of the time? Why am I still unhappy while I'm doing the things I'm doing? And well, personally, I've said for myself is I have
Thanks, Dad.
I watched Jordan Peterson, and I got really heavy into learning the psychology of like my own predicament, and that helped me get out of my dog shit feeling. Now we're gonna go suicide bomb this tank. Allah Akbar.
Good one.
Thank you. So
Taking hits.
it does come from a place of personal experience, and I have even partially come out of it. You know, I still have a long way to go with my own personal, fixing things up. I gotta get a better workout regimen than the one I have right now. Mine's very basic. I want to get a little bit bigger of a build. I don't really have access to the type of food I like to. I don't have the type of food I really want to and be eating right now. I don't have the type of diet. I have a very small stomach from relinquishing myself down to 1 meal a day, and I'm trying to expand that so I can eat 3 meals a day again. I've only kind of got up to 2, and I'm still struggling.
Yeah, these bitches love salsa.
And I'm also pursuing what makes me happy, which is
Yeah, no one gives a fuck, little bro.
my
Yeah, no
what's
one
it
gives a
called?
fuck, little bro.
My animations.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck, little bro.
You're repeating, my friend.
Your mic's on, little bro.
I know it's on. Sorry, I was getting a drink there. But personally, I like. I'm making a dog shit absolutely, because like I looked one here. I have to explain it. I looked online. I saw a lot of people like that they get a lot of views and like praise for like Stickman comics and stupid web comics that were shitly poorly presented, but the story was pretty alright and interesting. And I was like, well, I could just do that and just do a little snippet of it, like a concept trailer, and get people to help me push it further, so then I can start really animating stuff. But I'd still have a little bit of animation in the trailer. It'd be animatics, stills, and all, and concept art, and all put together with a voice acting and sound effects a little bit, to kind of present the idea and general story without giving too much away, and kind of feeling like a real trailer of what I wanted to present. And I work towards that. I pay people to do it. I had about 8 artists working for me. I have about 6 right now. We're kind of on a break because I'm building up some money back again because I used a lot. And I also had some slow times at work and stuff. But it's just I'm trying to make that into like a sort of episodic thing, maybe eventually, or maybe I'll get investors, or I don't know what I'll do. My initial goal was to get people to watch it, get a certain amount of subscribers and views from it, and then try to take that and say, hey, invest in this product. We can go a little bit at a time, and you can do things like, getting just a single episode out and seeing how people liked it. Oh, this is the Battlebit podcast. What's up? How you doing?
That's what's going on.
Yeah, what's the Battlebit podcast? So we do a podcast here. I'm going to record a podcast for YouTube while we're in game, and while we kind of have interactions with everyone. I can talk to people in my squad and you at the same time for a limited amount of time, at least, whenever I die.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what was all that spiel you guys
Yeah, look me up on YouTube, Sensitive Nannies, Battlebit Podcast. Check it out. We already got 2 episodes up. 3rd one will be up tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, so I try to. I guess my animation stuff is technology, because I feel I really have a disdain for where the current animation field has gone, and how like media in general, but also specifically animation, because it was a big thing in this country. We kind of created it. I have a lot of pride in that. I have a lot of pride in the fact that we kind of revolutionized it and had some of the best animation, even still to this day. I don't think really anyone has ever used the full Disney style in anything ever fucking again, or gone as fluid as Disney has gone ever really again. And when they have, it's a reference to Disney. Nobody really has tried that. They've all tried to scale it down for money or whatnot. I'd really like to bring that kind of animation back to its height and see how much further it could go. I know we already do 3D plus 2D, especially with things like Spider-Verse and that, but I still feel like it's not used to its best potential. I think Spider-Verse is a good direction, but the things they were trying to do, and they did with Tarzan back in the day, were kind of unexplored, in my opinion. The environments could have gotten way more creative, way more inventive, way more wild and in-depth. I think we have yet to see anything like a Berserk panel on an animated show screen. I think that has its day to come. And I think that's kind of an issue that I want to solve as well. And also, it's just we don't have a I guess, system of animation like we do for regular TV and live action. We have a group of companies that are built all around it as highly as the other one, when people would enjoy it just as much. It's just that people are afraid to put in that financial risk per se, because everyone's looking to make a quick buck. They're not willing to put shit into new IPs. They're constantly recycling things. And it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. They even try to recycle the animated stuff, and they always tear what made it good in the first place, because animation has its own charm, and some things belong in animation, and some things belong out of animation, and some things can do both. And we don't have. It feels like some sort of knowledge wasn't passed on to the next generation. I always look at the fact that all animation and American animation, 90% of it comes from Cal U Arts. I'm not trying to dig at California here. I'm trying to dig at the fact that it all comes from one fucking university. We literally call it the Cal U Arts style. It's bad. It's fucking bad. And that kind of, as George Carlin once said, if you're all in, it's a big club and you're not in it type of problem needs to be definitely gotten rid of in animation. And I personally find it to be a serious issue. I think that's why the quality has degraded slowly over time, especially how you had something like Avatar, The Last Airbender, which no other kid show, even though they're trying to work into story now, has been able to match ever fucking since. Even they couldn't do it with a sequel when fucking the studio fucked over the writers by constantly fucking with their time frame, throwing their last two, which were actually the best seasons, on the goddamn some sort of new website shit because they thought they could take over the internet without knowing a goddamn thing about it, and just terrible disconnected management from old people. It's just awful handling of what was once a great and loved art in this country, and you kind of see a bit of that in Japan. But I have, my own issues with Japan. They have a weird culture with animation, always showing panty shots and young age girls and shit. It's like I can't sit here and watch everything from there, and it also kind of ruins trying to look for stuff. Because you don't know what's going to do with those kind of reference things to that parts of the culture. But I mean, I think if they could just do that and then do more stuff also that was just like Vinland Saga and some of the because that's a top thing I can think off the top of my head right now that they're actually. But if they did more stuff like Vinland Saga and beyond, all that stuff without all the fucking weird sex culture shit, they'd be banging. I think that's one of the things that America does well. When we make movies, we make them appealable around the world. We don't make them specifically for one culture. And I feel like if Japan continued doing its own culture thing and then added on top of that more of that around the world stuff, they'd have a lot more success. But, in the whole other country, they got their own shit problems and whole reasons for doing things. So I'm just giving a personal observation. But I love a lot of their shit. It's where I get a lot of inspiration for my stuff. I have inspirations from shit I've watched growing up as a kid that I'd probably never watch again. Just because, like, it really is. They do make stuff for, like, that teenage age range. Where you're, like, a teenager age person. And you're kind of, like, crossing those, like, boundaries and shit, I guess. They make stuff that's decent for that. But again, still a lot of it's filled with that overly, hyperly sexualized shit when it's really unnecessary. But for us here, I think Spider-Verse is kind of a nice way to go. But again, it's terrible to hear that we're doing the same practices that Japan does, where we have fucking animators and artists being abused to produce our work, and they're being underpaid and stuff. And I'd like to change that. I don't think it's a problem really that big of an issue. You just gotta do long projects. You just gotta take time to do it. Maybe less artists, maybe more time. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to come out in 2 fucking years. I think that's the big issue. Everyone's afraid to let an investment like that sit, and you gotta have to be able to like have that mindset to be willing to take that risk to get the rewards out of it. And we've kind of lost that. You gotta find some people that are willing to do that shit.
Are you the one with the 4 subscribers on YouTube?
Yeah, definitely, bro. I have barely any subscribers. I just do shit for fun.
Well, now you got 5.
Thanks, man. You're awesome. I love you. Thanks, man. I hope you enjoy the podcast. But I personally just do shit I like. I like to upload videos every now and then. I've been
Make
trying
it
to.
6.
Oh, thank you, man. You're awesome. You guys are amazing. You guys are beautiful. I hope you guys continue to enjoy the podcast into the future. I'd like to be able to start interviewing people in the game too, like
gamers, get 'em!
Pull up people and get them into our squad and do like interviews and stuff. But we'd have to like make that a specific topic per podcast and stuff. But
you do a really good job of keeping the flow.
I know how to talk for hours because I'm ADHD and I'm very lonely, so I have a lot of shit to say and no one's ever listened. You know, I got bullied a lot as a kid.
I definitely think it's working towards your advantage.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've always known I had a good knack for this stuff. It's just that I never had the resources on my own. I kind of had to build it. Now that I have a decent job, I kind of do my own stuff. I do a little bit of soft mechanic work. I know how to put on and off wheels and do oil change and all the soft stuff that normally a shop would do, but I do it for way cheaper, and I do it for personal people that I know, and then I report it as income on my taxes. And then I also used to do Uber, and I just do that for like a group of people I know, and I do that kind of stuff, and I report it on my taxes. And as long as you pay the taxes on it, yeah, they don't really, and you report it as a private business. You make sure you get your taxes right, because I had to learn that doing it as an independent contractor or a private business type thing it's more taxes, so you have to pay that. But you work it out and you make good money.
Yeah, it seems like you got it down.
Yeah, it works out
Seems like
well
you know
for
your
me.
stuff.
And so far, I just do this stuff on the side. I like to do bits around in Battlebit, so I have like a bunch of recorded footage that I was gonna just throw together eventually, and I was trying to find a good software to do ad libs and stuff, like do like little text and stuff, but I couldn't find one. So what I did, I want to get one person. I just want to go back to Allah Akbar. But anyhow, I was trying to get I was trying to get a really good one for it, couldn't find one, so I just said fuck it, I'm gonna just start throwing them into one video. And before I could do that, I was rolling around, I died, I went, why is everybody sweating so much? And some dude on my team, he started coming at me, he's like, shut the fuck up, get better, get good, you're just bad. And I went to a whole thing, I was like, bro, I work too much, I don't got time to sit here, I'm just trying to have some fun. Y'all motherfuckers sweating like we playing Fortnite. And the dude started screaming like, you're mad, you're mad, you're mad. And I'm like, no, I'm not mad. So I just started going into like an hour-long conversation, and I just I'm talking about random shit, and I started gathering like a little audience and stuff, and I got people in the squad, and then people were huddling around me when I was dead and listening and shit, and I eventually I tried it again one more time, and it just kind of got the same result, and then I started making a podcast for it, and I just threw it up, and I said, fuck it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, keep it going.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to do when I play this game, so this is
Keep
perfect.
it going, man, but I understand half of what you're saying. I'm a little zooted.
I'm zooted too, brother. I'm high as fuck. I got my bong next to me. I don't promote any drug use to anyone else, but sadly, I have my own issues.
What about meth?
No, meth, no.
Oh my god!
No. Hey man, welcome. No meth. Hey man, welcome to the Battlebit podcast.
I need a medic.
What do you got to say to the Battlebit podcast, sir? Anyone got anything to say on the Battlebit podcast? Hold your kid.
I say that I'm dead.
I like meth.
You're dead.
I say that.
Well, oh, dude, he tried. He was going for it on camera, but he messed it up. You should have went and killed him first, man. You almost had it. But this guy came in and holy shit, what the fuck? It's actually pretty easy to do. I started uploading it, and I just said fuck it. I'm gonna upload. I'm gonna try to upload one a day if I can, because I come home at night and I play Battlebit and I play other games. But I always play like a couple rounds of Battlebit at least. I can do like 3-4 rounds of Battlebit and just talk and fucking ramble the whole time about some random topic I pick. It's easy as fuck. I've always had a gift of gab, you know. Everyone tells me I can't shut the fuck up.
If you still haven't found a good editor, I'd say DaVinci Resolve is probably the best free editor you could use. It takes a little while to get used to, but it's so nice. It's just there's so many features. I killed him while I was blind. And it's all free.
I'll check it out. I think I actually might have heard of that before. I don't know if someone's told me that before or not. And I was just high when I heard it, but it sounds kind of familiar. Maybe I was looking it up or something.
Yeah, it's perfect. So many things you can add. Pictures, you can add video on top of video, you can make it slow motion, you can add text, you can do everything you'd ever need to do.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest at
it takes a little bit to get used to, but there's a bunch of tutorials.
I'm not the greatest at the game, but whenever I try, I'm not half bad. I can play pretty well. I get sick of playing with all the drop shooters and wiggle people that are trying like at their hardest and I'm like I don't feel like doing that right now. I don't feel like doing like this. It's like too much effort for me.
Yeah, they're peeking and stuff.
I just got home from work, man. I don't got the energy. It's like I just did a fucking workout. I don't got the energy for that shit.
Sometimes you don't need to be good.
But I mean, I do it.
You just have to be entertaining. So.
Oh no, it's just why, dude. I love running around doing the suicide bombing. I love fucking doing the helicopters. I love just running people around in vehicles and stuff. That shit's lit. And then
yeah, exactly.
And then I found this,
That's
and
the
I
good
was
stuff.
like, this game has a new layer of something no one's ever seen. And I have to show it to the world. This is something different and special.
This game is great.
It's
yeah,
not
this
just
game,
$15.
this guy convinced me to get it, and I've been in love. It's just so much fun.
Dude, I showed it to someone too, and they said they're getting it as soon as they got the PCs. Besides, been watching videos about it nonstop. I think it's just interesting how I found this like little thing where you can do like this like little kind of like long form podcast while you're talking to people in game and you're doing gameplay to a sense. Because like I just killed 2 people right here while I was talking that whole thing, and my ability to even be able to play the game at some level. To some sense, and talk also while holding a button all at the same time and using less of my fingers is also, I guess, a talent.
Yeah, you can multitask.
Yeah, I can highly multitask.
Yeah, it draws the eyes and the ears.
It's probably, mostly specifically with this. It's probably just because I have so much. But also, it's the fact that you can like interact with anyone in game. Like you can interact with anyone around you. I'm interacting with my squad, and then I have shit like that where some guy just screams "You suck." And then I have, I could watch things around me as, like, I'm dead and see what happens. And then sometimes I even get revived. And I get to go for another run.
Yeah. I love the games, open world games with proximity chat. I think they're the best things. Best things that you
Okay, then you
people
need to
in.
play Armor Reforger. You need to play Armor Reforger.
I play Reforger. I'd play this over Armor Reforger any day, honestly. I like the...
Oh, that's what
I play that all the fucking time. It has the best prox chat because you can talk to your enemies even while they're alive.
I mean,
So
yeah,
it's not like this where you have to wait until they're dead.
But everyone's so spread out, and it's such a like widely spread out game. There's not a lot of chaos like
Yeah,
that.
that's the crazy thing about
Arland,
this
which
game.
is the small
120 players a team.
I've never played
It's
the small
crazy.
maps. Maybe that's
Always
why.
action.
Yeah, I always play.
Yeah.
The 127 versus 127.
Yeah, dude, that's why it's fucking insane. Oh, will he
Like,
get me?
it's not
Will it be in
people,
time? It will
it's
not be in
ours.
time. But it's also weird how like how we can have this interesting relationship with technology. It can create entire jobs, industries, and avenues of entertainment that were never thought of before. Just
Yeah, it really opens up opportunities.
but at the same time, it brings some of the worst features out of us as well in this.
Oh,
this
it definitely
wonderful
does.
Balance
You're
almost.
very
I
right.
kind of like that too, though. I like that balance. It makes it, as George Carlin once said, it makes the world interesting. A lot of guys from Iraq and Alabama, Iraq, Sudan, blah blah blah, whatever. He said a bunch of countries, and then playing guy. Or no, this is what he said. He said a bunch of Christian extremists, Islamic extremists, Jewish extremists, Buddhist extremists. Throughout the dawn of time, it's just plain guys from Montana are gonna make our lives very interesting for a long, long time. That's one of the things that I kind of take his kind of mindset to heart. At some degree, you have to laugh at all the horrible shit because otherwise it just becomes impossible to sit through to a sense. But for him, he was just so old, he just couldn't care anymore. It's just like I've seen everyone around me be fucking morons. I can't. You want me to give a fuck about that? No, I'm done. Finish. You guys were on your own. That's kind of how he worked.
Yep.
Oh, we gonna go on a streak? Ah, I missed the last shot. I missed the last shot for the streak. Damn. Almost had a 4-man. Little guzzler. I tried. Fried as high as the sky.
I got murdered.
No, brother. Hold on, I'll pick you up. I got you. Reload. kill us both.
My brothers.
I'm fixing my men. Alright, boys. In the name of people and technology, we will make it out alive. No flashbang will stop me. Oh! Maybe it will. He's right there in the corner.
Hit it, bro.
Dead. Oh, they have a helicopter. Oh, we're screwed. Do we have a helicopter I can fly? I know we have one I can talk in. Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Battlebit podcast. So, back onto our topics about our relationships with technology. I think a good place to explore now would be body technology. What do we boys think about cybernetics? What do we think about Neuralink? I wonder if Neuralink really is anything at all. I don't know if anyone has seen, but it's a very, very, very similar demonstration done to his demonstration with the monkey playing video games, done almost 20 years earlier, in the early 2000s. And the person that was helping him work on that project happened to be a undergrad of the guy who did the project, the original one. So it doesn't seem like he's made any strides or leaps in the technology, and I don't think he's going to be able to actually promise any of the things that he's got. But, you know, maybe he might get something through. I think whatever it will be is going to be restricting, considering the fact that he doesn't want people to be able to repair their cars either. So I can't really expect that he's going to do anything of particular interest. If you could drop me down somewhere, I have a suicide bomb. My friend, I'd like the suicide bomb. This is perfect. To the right a bit, to the right a bit. Yep, to the right. Yeah, here. This is perfect. No, that's not the spot. Well, I tried. I'm gonna have to run to them. Here we go, boys. We're running to them. But, you know, I don't think that technology is really actually going to pan out at all. I don't see it becoming a thing, really, in any sense of the term. I don't think Neuralink will turn out to be...
I may or may not have forgot it was 12:29 and I screamed Allah Akbar into game chat.
Who cares? I didn't say Allah Akbar. Who cares? There's literally videos of people doing that on YouTube. It's just a joke. It's funny. It's very funny. It's done it many times.
I have family and dogs sleeping very close to me.
Oh, that's why you were loud. Well, that's an L on you, brother. That can't be helped. I can't help you with that one. I thought you said something about the moderators. I was like, what? They don't give a shit. They just don't want you, like, arguing about shit. About topics. You have to discuss them kindly and have good-natured conversations. The world is my empire. The world is my empire. The world is my empire. And I tried too hard. I wonder what kind of body technology they'll come up with in the future that will actually be serviceable. I don't think that they're gonna... I don't know if... They actually might... If we could combine AI and prosthetic limbs, we might have a little interesting thing go on there. That might be a little fun thing to figure out.
Good one, bro.
I don't know, but you know what I do know? They already have jetpacks, and they already have exosuits that can help humans carry up to 200 pounds.
Yeah, but those aren't really that crazy. That's not really that hard to make.
The jetpack is. Have you seen the jetpack?
I mean, the jetpack, it's not that quite effective, bro. Have you seen how fucking loud it is? You're not sneaking up or using it or anything effectively. Oh, it's loud as shit. It is loud as shit. You are not approaching anyone, anywhere, without hearing that thing fucking coming in. It's literally loud.
Well, I don't think that it would be used in a military behind the line purposes whatsoever.
I don't know what purpose it would be used
Most
for.
of them have to be plugged
It would
into
more
the
be
TV.
used for
risk,
search and
high
rescue.
reward. High risk, low reward. It's high risk, low
Search and
reward. There's
rescue
no
would
way.
be one of the big
You know,
ones,
it's
like
one
up
of
in the
the-
mountains.
it's one of
That
the-
was one of the things they were talking about.
It's one of the stupidest things I've ever really honestly seen.
Or they're talking about making it a shipboarding from going ship to ship for like
Again.
people.
Again,
having to use a boat.
it's slow. It's a big target, right? And it's
No, it's
loud.
not. They're like 100 miles an hour.
Not from what I've
It
seen.
ain't slow.
I gotta see them going at 100 miles per hour. 'Cause I haven't
Look
seen
into
that.
Gravity Industries.
Cheering Pell.
Look into Gravity Industries.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to check that out. I
Talking
haven't
about
heard about it,
cyanide?
but if they can go 100 miles per hour, I mean, that's still... I mean, I don't know how you would do that, though, and land safely without becoming a big target right before you're landing.
They have a
you have to consider the
1,000,
logistics
I'm
of
pretty
trying
sure
to
it's
land
like
such a big
1,000
thing on your
horsepower.
back. You're coming in, you don't want to break your legs, so you have to aim it out and slow down. We need to have, like, exosuits that can protect you in that case, already ready for that kind of thing.
Well, they're in commercial use, and you only have to take like a 3-week class from what I was seeing.
I mean, yeah, you can, but I don't know if
You
that'd
just
be the
have
same
to
ones that
have
can go 100 miles per hour.
$120,000.
I don't know if those would be the same ones that can go 100 miles per hour. I would think those would be different ones.
No, they are. Gravity Industries, the jetpack.
Maybe. Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen that. From what I've seen, they go about maybe 30. You know. But maybe I'm thinking of different ones. But what I've seen is the big ass bulky ones.
Okay,
that take up a lot of.
sorry,
a lot
it's
of
80 miles an hour in specific, but it can go up to 12,000 feet.
Okay. I think it goes up to whatever you're breathing.
That's like almost a third of a commercial airplane. Commercial airplanes are like 30,000.
That's pretty, but I still think that would be well, coming in for the landing. It'd still be pretty. I'd have to see it. Like they'd have to mock use it in the field, and see how many tags they get on the people coming.
Nah,
in.
it's pretty easy actually. It's pretty easy to come in for a soft landing for people, and they don't even have to be super buff from what I've seen. Even stick builds can use it, and it's like 1,000 WHP.
Yeah, I gotta see what you're talking about before I can confirm any of that. I haven't seen anything like that.
Oh shit, we're going down.
Hey man, welcome to the podcast. I'm gonna go see if I can blow up this APV while I talk about. But see, I don't know. I don't know if what's it called? I don't know if they how much kind of fuel they take up too, because they might take up little bits of fuel. They might take little bits of fuel.
Pretty sure it's a jet fuel.
Yeah, but they would probably take up little bits of fuel and still get a lot of thrust, because the type of fuel that we use, we make different types of fuel depending on the weight of vehicles as well sometimes, or the weight of like aircraft as well sometimes. So, and like the conditions that they go in, we make slightly different fuel. So it might also make it might be economically viable though. That I can see that being a thing. But I don't know about I've never seen the ones where they're like really small, or they're not like absolutely huge, and it would be a big target.
Yeah, they take kerosene.
Oh, I got
Jet A1 fuel.
kerosene. That's actually pretty cheap, I believe. Should have hit the head. This guy comes in. I love this chaos. There's more of them. Well, what a hell of a ride. But I mean, I wonder if it really is that size downable. I'd have to see that. I've never seen some shit like that. That'd be wild seeing if they have like a jetpack like it's built with a Fed or some shit. You know what I mean? Getting us down to like fucking tiny. Let's start with the music here. of the interesting things that we have seen in technology is war technology. We're back to trench warfare due to the fact that it's still fucking viable in the world of artillery. There's so much new ways of heavy artillery fire. Trench warfare is one of those easy ways to keep out of that. I didn't know
Well, artillery is really easy because it can be coordinated by a drone that's like $500 up in the air that is barely seen.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the artillery they use from like vehicles.
So instead of bracketing, where you had to do like 200 meters in front, and then you had to shoot like another artillery round like 100 meters before that, or whatever it was, until you hit something, you can just do it on a drone. And it's crazy that the American military is making, I'm pretty sure, a drone system where we can have up to 80 drones for one operator that will be able to be in sync.
I just have one of the best.
And like probably have explosives, as I'd imagine.
That's
like little suicide
cool.
drones.
That's cool as fuck. But I don't mean to
interrupt
interrupt that.
But it's scary.
I don't mean to interrupt that, but I just did the most
military.
absolutely synced APV destruction with a suicide bomb and someone else rocking it at the perfect time. That was beautiful. I want whoever knows that if they see this, that was fucking beautiful. Hopefully we'll see you in the squad next time. I think part 4 will be the last part. Maybe we'll go for another part if we got some more technology that we want to talk about.
Make sure to subscribe too, so
hey man, I appreciate it. Thank you. Love the love. Community's really supportive here. I love it. This game is great. How much time are we in? Oh, we might go for the 2.5 hour. We might go for the 2.5 hour. I could go for a 2.5 hour. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Battlebit podcast. This is episode 3, part 4. Today's topic, technology and its relation to us. Where we last left off, we were talking with a boy that I hope joins. I might have to make a podcast squad real quick. There we are. We have our own little squad now. Anyone can come join. Excuse me, please let me in. Alright, I guess I'll go over here to this guy. So today, we were talking just about how they were going to be doing different types of artillery with little drone fire and the technology of military technology.
Hey, shut up.
And, well, our
Shut up.
last guy that we were discussing with, hopefully he joins the podcast squad, but I don't know where he is.
Hey, shut up.
Just like look for and find him.
No one cares about your
Might be on
podcast.
the other team. I'm not quite sure. We got this guy in the car here with us. Seems to be very upset with our presence. Doesn't seem like the part of the podcast. Why should I shut the fuck up, Mr. E. Skittles? Tell the podcast.
Hey, shut up.
Why, sir?
Hey, are you live?
Why? I am live. This is the Battlebit podcast.
TTV? TTV?
No, not on TTV. We do record it for YouTube. I don't deal with the live stream stuff. Too much shit to keep track of. I don't got time for that. I gotta sit here and keep the whole body entertained. I gotta interact with people in game. I gotta interact with the dead people, the people in my squad. Gather a small audience in game and out of game. I talk about topics for however many hours I feel like, a couple hours, hour or two, maybe 2 hour and a half, you know.
Yes, where are we going?
It doesn't really matter. The journey's the best part. We were talking about technology and its relation to people. We had discussed a lot of it, especially around phones and our addiction to it, how it brings out some of the worst in us, the creations of the internet, military technology, cybernetic technology, how Neuralink might be a scam. Got into a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's crazy how they had to charge the pigeons during COVID.
How they what? I'm sorry, you kind of melded together. I didn't quite hear what you said. What happened during COVID? They what charged during COVID?
Yeah, it's crazy they had to charge the pigeons during COVID.
Charge the pigeons? Okay, I think that's what he said. I guess we were charging the pigeons. I wasn't aware of this declaration. But well, at least Skittles, it's me and you. And now it's just me. I think artillery is kind of fucking scary. I don't think the nukes are gonna be fucking scary. I don't think the nukes are gonna get used for a while, but I'm worried about the tactical nukes. Those tactical nukes are kind of fucking scary. World War III. It could be any day. It could be happening right now as I speak. I don't know. As I speak, I don't know. It is World War III. It'll be a crazy world. It'll be a crazy world. That's a wonderful mic. Can I ask you? That's a wonderful mic you have there, sir. Can I ask you, did you get that from Walmart? This is my laptop mic. 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 Podcast. Would really like. Oh boy. Well, anyhow, I think maybe this will be the last one because the boy didn't join in. We're gonna join another squad. We're gonna join a random squad. So, I think a good place into technology we can talk about now is advancements in the medical field. Wonder what kind of medical technology we can think about. Let's see. I think one of the coolest things we are working on is some of the CRISPR shit, even though, you know, some of that shit has some weird side effects with the, what's it called, the one thing. But I think all in all, this idea that we can, you know, stop children from having things like Down syndrome and stuff could be possibly used in the future. I think eventually people are going to be like, well, I mean, why don't we just use it? And the vast majority of people aren't going to be like, well, we want our baby born natural. No, we want our baby to be able to function normally in society and not be hindered by stuff. I think a lot of people are going to come around to that idea. Not saying we should force it on anyone, but I think people are just going to generally move in that direction, especially with how much, like, all we have, like, all this, like, virtue argument. People are definitely going to move in those type of directions where we're going to try to genetic out, like, certain specific diseases that we don't really have many other options against. Stuff like that. I also think some of the better stuff we're getting is with the imaging technology into people's bodies, so we don't have to only use x-rays. We're getting pretty creative with that with sound stuff. And I think that's going to be very important going forward. I think one of the best parts about that kind of stuff is that we don't have to deal in radiation anymore, of course. But also technology for things like cancer. I think cancer technology has gotten a lot better, and a lot more forms of cancer can be cured without having to use dangerous radiation technology or things like that. And that's probably one of the best steps in that direction. Hopefully, you know, we have a day where all cancer can be fucked over without having to use forms of deadly treatment or whatnot. But it's not a clear road, and obviously, as long as you can make lots of money on it, it's probably going to stay the way it is for a little bit longer. But I mean, there's breakthroughs all the time. I still wonder what happened to that shit where they said they found a bee venom that was really good at fucking with it. I wonder if that helped with anything, and how effective that kind of stuff was. I do know there's a couple more. We do have a couple more ways we can definitely filter things out. I think also brain imaging technology is probably a good thing to consider about all the stuff that we've kind of gone. I wonder how much further we're really gonna get with like how we can see what parts of the brain are active and that kind of stuff. I don't know if we can really push that kind of stuff in the boundaries, but I do wonder like if we're gonna be able to really like image out mental illnesses, like or certain severe illnesses or problems like that aren't visible in that way ever with brain imaging technology. I wonder if that's ever going to be a possibility, but not sure if I really believe in that right now. I have to see the science behind that kind of shit. I think can't mention vaccines obviously for obvious reasons too much, but I can say that it's a pretty simple technology, and we can vaccine the people against like, well, it's less effective obviously. We can vaccine people against like poisons and stuff now, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting technology. I wonder if that'll ever advance any further. Personally, I'd like to see what the meat, the lab meat is really like. What if there's any effects of growing meat in the lab, or if it really is just like grown meat, or if there is a severe difference. I would assume that there would be, because it seems like there's a difference between gamey meat and non-gamey meat, like how a life process of an animal goes, adds flavor and other things to meat. So I don't know if that technology will really ever be permanent, like something that we replace things with. But I could see it being used to help starving people experience things like that. And I wonder how you can cheapen the ability to grow that kind of stuff in a lab and what that will be like. That'll probably be a good thing to look into at some point. Personally, even for me, if I ever make good money. And also the 3D printing shit has gotten out of hand. They want to 3D print rockets now. Like rocket parts. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. We 3D print houses, rocket parts, guns. We 3D print fucking... I mean, God, at some point I think we're going to wind up 3D printing like literal iPhones and shit. You know? But it's just that 3D printing. And I do wonder how that is cheap, though. It seems like it's something that's really expensive all the time, though. I've never seen it where it's like cheap, except in very specific circumstances. So I wonder how it really is cheap. Also, technology trying to move in the housing market, of trying to build. We got construction technology. That's a good topic. We need to find better ways to build house and construction materials. And I wonder if there's a way. I've always wondered, like with these plastic bricks that people kind of make, if there's a way that you can coat them with something or a layer of something that keeps
like,
some microplastics.
It takes literally
inside.
nothing.
I have no idea if that's possible, but that would probably be something we would really need to look into if we're ever going to look into cheaper housing like that. I know people also want to use like abandoned shipping containers and stuff, but at the end of the day, if you're still using material, you're still using material. I think it's going to still cost quite a bit. I think one of the issues is people can't really get land for cheap either. Without having to have like a lot of materials to come and move it out, or for that kind of work to be expensive. So I think like finding ways we can make things that clear out stuff less expensive for people who are trying to like build on a land or buy a parcel and clear it out and build on it.
Don't run.
Foundation type stuff. Get people who do that kind of stuff and get them cheaper. If we can get that kind of work cheaper in any way, or
dude, I mean, like,
well, I think it'd be really just clearing, because you can't really get like actually starting a house. Because a house is gonna be expensive for the most part. But I think the $20,000-$30,000 houses are pretty good idea. It's just that shit keeps inflating, and we're looking at like land costs based on what, everybody wants to live in these high cities, and that's where all the jobs are. So it inflates the fuck out of price, and we got to figure out a way to regulate that kind of living, like so that people will make houses, right? But that, you know, in places like cities, but they make them so that there's fucking space for the worker population of that city, you know, near where they need to go. I don't know if there's any way to do that, because everything would be, because the way that all that would work, because it's been resold so many times, re-up price, there's no real way to really fall your way out of that. You just have to create new hubs. We always have to constantly, that's one of the things that you have to think about. We have all this land to live, and thankfully we do, because if we as countries didn't constantly create new hubs or make new spaces, eventually at some point through our years of being a country and together, we didn't like move ourselves constantly to do new hubs, new manufacturing hubs, moving in and out of places, we wouldn't function. We really wouldn't function as an economy, and eventually it might come to a point where we've hit all the places we can go. We don't know. And then you see people like Elon Musk, they go to fucking space. It is what it is, but I think it's really cool technology as people are trying to look into making cheaper houses. I just wish that the land wasn't such an issue, and saving that kind of money wasn't such an issue in such a bad economy. We got to work on finding a way to really project good economics if we wanted to fix that, and that's a whole different issue other than technology, you know. I think technology could help, though. You know, trying to find technologies to make things cheaper, but so far the easiest way we found to make things cheaper is to have them outsourced to countries where labor is cheap as shit. And I think people were willing to pay more for a little bit in certain areas for, you know, not so for not like terrible work, like not like poorly treated work, for people doing slave work or some shit. But now that we've hit a higher economy, people won't pay for that, so it's be a lot harder to move technology, manufacturing jobs, or trying to get manufacturing going in the country. It's going to be elsewhere, sadly.
Jolly bad,
chap. I don't know. I think some of this farming and some of this other type of like farming technology and meat production technology and medical, you know, type technology is going to be probably some of the way that we're going to cheapen a lot of this shit and really move forward in the next few decades to things like, you know, decreasing a lot of the world's problems like starvation and homelessness, all that. 3D printing has already started its work, but I think recycling proper things are probably we have to think about like recycling actually things better and stuff. I always see all the plastic recycled, but I think
like stuff that's
we gotta look at
recyclable, but not really.
That shit. We gotta figure out how we can recycle that shit into building material. That's actually a good idea, my guy. That we can recycle that stuff into building material, possibly.
I think we should make the companies that make the waste pay for the waste disposal.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. There's a good regulation right there, boys. See, man, random man on Battlebit's got good regulation ideas. We should gotta look at that a little bit, make sure it's not something that would bankrupt them completely. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Papa Luke. I'm proud of you, Papa Luke. I want you to know me and the entire Battlebit podcast are proud of you for what I just saw. We're so proud of you, like a father watching his son. I'm so proud of you. And what do we say? What do we say when we kill the enemy, friend? Oh no. I tried to body block for you.
Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar! Yes, my friend, yes. Now, it's very interesting to see how technology relates into like political regulation and stuff, because they're trying to go really hard into the internet now, and they want to do the Protect the Kids Act. But I don't know if that's really a good idea, per se. I don't know if that's gonna get us anywhere, because it's just a censorship act at the end of the day, and I don't even know if it does what it says it's gonna do. I don't know if it should even be allowed. I think it's just a form of high censorship. And I think it'd be battled out in the Supreme Court most likely. But personally, I hope it just doesn't pass. We can't let that kind of law pass. It's not good. It's not good for the country. That kind of freedom on the internet. We need to be able to communicate freely without, you know, people using their their agendas to push back against using stupid law that's meant to be used in one way, but it's used in a completely different way. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. But,
someone just suicide bombed me.
It's the Battlebit podcast just suicide bombs. What would you like to say?
Safe route, on the safe route.
Anyone got anything to say on the Battlebit podcast, boys? You're live. What do you got to say?
Thank you. I don't know how you don't think it.
Alright, I guess not. Well, boys, I think I'm interested to see what 3D printing can do to be creating materials or parts for things in a smaller case, like for like small things. If we can get really accurate, smaller 3D printers to be cheap. They're pretty expensive to buy, and I don't think it'll be open to the public for the most part. You know, I think the public will have a problem being able to afford these type of things for the most part when they're introduced, mainly because they always cost like 15, 20, 30K. It's like, bro, that's a house investment right there. We're trying to make houses that cheap, and we're already having a problem with that. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Sensitive, come here.
What's up?
Hey, shut the fuck up.
Sure thing,
no
brother.
gay sex right
Battlebit podcast never shuts the fuck up. We're always going. We're always live. We're always moving. We're always talking. We're always grooving, boys. Today's topic we're grooving on. It's motherfucking technology and its relation to mankind. And you know what? It does a lot of bad things. How about let's talk about some of the bad things technology does for us? You know, think about all the murder technology. You know, like this hacking technology, all this stuff that people use to take identities, and how they want to try to hack into people's cars now. I don't know if you guys have seen the Kia boys or the Hyundai boys or whatnot, but that shit's wild. And I think it's pretty insane that these companies release these products with these massive security flaws, and somehow, you know, something happens and they're not liable. It's just not right. And I think we need to really up it with some of this technology. I mean, especially if we're going to start moving to EV vehicles, we can't have them having the ability to be hacked. We need to phase that kind of, like, it needs to be maybe regulated out that we even use something that can be hacked in that kind of way, man. It's just, it's going to become a real danger and an issue. I also don't think it's right for to put in a system where they're going to be able to take your car if they want to repo it and stuff. That's why I've always said, you know, Elon Musk is not here to help anybody, boys. He's just like everyone else. He doesn't give a shit as long as he makes his money and he can continue to make more money. And it's just, you know, he acts like the good guy billionaire, but at the end of the day, he'll put technology into your life. They don't even give you the right to repair your car at a private repair shop. You know, you have to take it to a Tesla dealership where they're going to charge you a bunch of fucking money because their poor design puts all of their easily breakable parts under a bunch of other framework that you're going to have to fucking spend 12 hours putting back together, you know? It's probably one of the biggest flaws nobody really talks about with the company. You better hope you don't crash some goddamn cars and that auto shit saves your ass, because I bet your ass that as soon as you hit a little fucking dent on that shit, it's going to break something under it, or it's going to break a line that's going to go to something else, or a connection somewhere, and you're going to be having to pay like $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000, you know, on an already $300,000 car that's somehow supposed to be, you know, put towards the entire public. I don't see it happening. And I wonder how expensive these other, you know, companies that are getting into making EV vehicles are going to be, because they're very much not cost effective. I go to buy used vehicles in the first place, and used vehicles are going to jump 10 times the price. They're going to be the amount the fucking non-used vehicles are if all the EV vehicles are going to start costing this fucking price. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think, you know, the common person is going to be able to buy it. So I really wonder if EV vehicles are going to actually find a way to be cheaper, how fast we're gonna be able to invent that and be able to push that forward, or if it's really just gonna turn us into a down market. I hope they don't force it on us. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I don't see it. I saw somebody ask on a podcast if the dude thought that there's gonna be a day where there is no more combustion engine. I think it was Joe Rogan asking somebody very recently, actually, and he said he doesn't, and I said, well, it depends on how crazy people get. We're all willing to lock each other down for a while. Maybe we're willing to get rid of the combustion engine. No more gas cars. I think there's other ways to try and push this technology. I think we're pretty close with maybe even getting a. We just get if we really push a nice culture of people being smart, we might be able to solve the whole, what's it called, fucking fusion. Yeah, fusion generator, power generator. In the next 100 years, 50 to 100 years, might actually have that close to being solved. But we as parents, even like parents, they don't push a culture on technology for their kids to be anything more than addicted to it. We just gotta kind of start looking at ourselves, looking back and going how are we gonna promote ourselves to be better? We got to. It's what we should be doing at this point. We should be promoting ourselves somehow to be better people than what we're exhibiting right now. And we're I don't know. I don't think we're exhibiting the proper behavior necessary to be able to sit here and say that we're letting technology be a positive benefit for us, because we're really not. It's just at an individual level. Fuck all the other shit. At an individual level, we don't take the responsibility needed to be able to handle this technology. So, why should we be introducing it to our kids in such a way at all? And when we don't care. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody really cares at the end of the day, and that's what happens. It turns out terrible. We can only go so far until we're in the dark, We're gonna try to find a place to set down a signal. No, never mind, we're not. Lamau. What's up, hooded black-headed man? You're on the Battlebit podcast. You got anything to say? Welcome to the Battlebit podcast. Anything to say? No? Alright, well, you have a nice day. Look at him go. Look at him go. Look at him go. Well, damn, we've really covered a lot of technology. I don't really have anything else personally knowledgeable at the moment offhand to really say without any extra response and feedback. It's interesting how easily and accessible we've made technology, though, to make YouTube videos. That's pretty interesting. If you go on Amazon or you go on to a common website, you go into a store, you're going to easily find quick access to the things you need to be able to hop on and be a YouTuber, hop on and be a podcaster, or be an influencer, like myself. But you don't have the bits and bobs necessary to do anything else. It's an interesting dilemma. It's an interesting thing, and I can't wrap my head around how people don't blame themselves more for it. It's not a time. Really, it is our fault at the end of the day. We did this to ourselves. People don't want to really overlook, and they don't want to see themselves as a fault. They don't want to reflect. Because if people did, probably wouldn't be in a lot of these situations. Goes back to that idea of they want what's good now, instead of what's good for you. And I think what's good now is it's not going to make us happy. It's not going to further the species. We need to really bang our heads together and actually give a fuck for once. The older generation's got to realize they created some shit and give a fuck to try and fix it. And bang their heads together with all of us to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. They all want to scream and yell and get their way. And at the end of the day, you're left with technology almost run amok. It's interesting. The guy who blew up the Unabomber, the guy who did the manifesto, the Industrial Revolutions and its consequences of humanity or whatever. He's been proven right day by day, in a sense. Now, do I advocate for any of his shit? No, it's just the more we don't really go in a good direction, the more we prove him that we're going in his direction. And it's almost he's pretty damn close to describing how it's fucking going. It's really interesting how damn close he got. Because the guy was a fucking genius. I really do wonder if the CIA did fuck with his head. Because that'd be the wildest shit in history. To see this dude, this genius, fuck with, and then come back out of it to have this headset disconnected. To have this this wild theory manifesto that he would release after all these murders, all these bombings. That would be a deep reflection, an intelligent reflection into modern society and where we are heading as a species. It's absolutely indicative of what we are as human beings. We're so fucking smart but stupid at the same time. It's quite impressive. That's why I always don't like, if you hear Neil deGrasse Tyson's argument about why aliens wouldn't find us interesting. Oh, I think we would be the top form of entertainment for any alien species. I think, personally, that we would literally be their goddamn 24/7 TV show. I don't know if they wouldn't be interested in us at all, but I think they'd be damn sure entertained by us. At the very least, they'd want to study us, in my opinion. But, I mean, who knows? Could be they want to stay the fuck away, too, you know? Because species like us happen to be an infectious disease spread across the galaxy like a virus. Who knows? It's very hard to say. It's not cut and clear. But I find it very, very highly unlikely that they wouldn't be interested in us in any sense. Anyways, folks, you know what? It is getting kind of late. I think I'm going to end it right there. It's going to be, I'm kind of finding myself out of things to talk about. Just at my end for a little long form talking. Didn't have enough resources around me. I need some snacks or some shit to keep going this fucking long. Jesus. But yeah. See you boys next time. Battlebit podcast. Till then, enjoy.